Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, for another episode of Cuz You Don't Know Football. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a crazy week that we just witnessed last week. Not only was it a crazy week, I just gotta let y'all know. Well, let's go into a little sidebar because it's just us today, which I love. Yeah, I love our alone time and that we can just talk and get all this together, all these thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, I am tired today. It's been a long day. A lot, you know what I mean? Just a lot of moves been going on, a lot of success. And it's just, it's just a tired day. But I thought about a couple things. One, you know how in your life, like you ask for something and then you get it. And it's like, well, there's always a consequence to it. So this is kind of my consequence, even so, like as much as I want to do this, sometimes it's like, if I could just go to sleep, that would be great. But you guys motivate me to be here every week. So we give you this content every week. So no misses. We don't miss, okay? No matter what happens. So thank you guys for getting me into this. So today we are going to look into the games from last week and we're going to talk. As you can see, I'm still rocking the Colts jersey because every week that I've worn it, we won, and I'm not stopping yet. But we're gonna have something to talk about with that, okay? So we're just gonna do that. So like, what we're gonna do is first, let's talk about last week. Let's talk about last week. You know, it was. Listen, I'm just looking to see. It was week 13. And it was a great week. So let's start with that Thursday night game, that Thursday night thriller. The Dallas Cowboys beat the Seattle Seahawks 41-35. So Geno Smith was 23 of 41 for 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Chase. Zach Charbonnet, he had 19 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown, and Geno Smith also had a rushing touchdown. And then DK went off. He had 6 receptions, 134 yards, and 3 touchdowns. All the touchdowns went to my man DK. Go ahead, DK, with your bad self. So then going over to Dallas, Dak Prescott was 29 of 41 for 299 and 3 touchdowns and no picks. Tony Pollard had 20 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown. And CeeDee Lamb led them with 12 receptions for 116 yards and 1 touchdown. And also Jake Ferguson had a touchdown, and Brandon Cooks also had a touchdown. All right. I think everybody needs to calm down on Dallas with this. I know everybody is looking at this and saying, oh, Dallas finally beat a good team. Yo, if the playoffs started today, the Seahawks wouldn't even be in the playoffs. They're a 500 team. Okay? So for me, as of right now, like the Seahawks, like Dallas still hasn't beaten a good team this year for me. I know what you're saying. Seattle, they were in first place in division for a while, and blah 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 blah. Well, if the playoffs started today, they have to climb up 2 spots to get into the playoffs. I'm not saying they won't, but you can kind of see that they're a flawed roster, and they're not as good as people thought they were going to be, and that's just how that is. I'm curious to see what happens with them, but whatever. So Dallas, for me, Dallas has to win against Philly this upcoming week, and we'll talk more about that because they can't go into this if sweep, like having been swept by the Eagles, but they can change a lot if they do beat the Eagles. A lot can change, and I think they need to understand that they need to take that opportunity where they just disrupt everything that's going on and beat a team that everybody is trying to convince me that they are, because I'm still not buying it. So, moving on. Also, you know how I'm talking about it. I'm talking about it only because I'm not going to go into stats. but I'm going to talk about it. My Colts they swept the Tennessee Titans. The Colts, and we swept the Tennessee Titans. And I said when we started last week when I was talking with Cesar, I said we have to sweep the Titans. We have to beat them. And in those division games, we had beaten them earlier in the season. Sweeping them, that had me worried. But now that we have done that, I got a lot to say. I got a lot to say. But I'll hold on to that. Okay, moving on. The Houston Texans beat the Denver Broncos 22-17. I actually took Denver in this game, so I was wrong. So sorry if you're watching this, you heard me say it. I was wrong. Cause I don't get no credit for saying I was wrong, y'all. I'm gonna be honest with you. So Russell Wilson was 15-26 for 186 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 picks. He also had a rushing touchdown, but Jamal Williams led them with 13 carries for 46 yards. Not much there. Cortland Sutton led them with 2 receptions for 77 yards and 1 touchdown. And Jerry Jeudy also had 51 yards. Yeah, 51 yards. Okay. CJ Stroud was 16-27 for 274, 1 touchdown, no picks. Damian Pierce had 41 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. And Nico Collins had 9 receptions for 191 yards and a touchdown. So yeah, shout out to the Texans. The one thing that happened that isn't great, Tank Dell actually went down for the season in this game, and he was having an outstanding rookie year, and he earned a lot of respect from me. So I'm very curious to see what they do for the rest of the year. In terms of their receiving core and their options or their weapons, because their options just got a little bit more limited. In terms of the Denver Broncos, I think when you drop a game in conference, that gives you tiebreakers that really they're not in your favor. When you drop a game in conference to a team who you need a tiebreaker against, that really makes it hard. Now I'm sitting on 7 losses can get you into the playoffs. That'll make you 10-7, and I'm sitting on 10 wins, 7 losses can get you into the playoffs. So I'm not ready to say the Broncos are finished yet. They came off of a 4-game winning streak. They lost 1. We'll continue to see, but it gets iffy. Now it gets iffier. I was just starting to talk a little bold about the Denver Broncos. I mean, what I said about Russ still basically stays the same. He's good, and I think he's playing better than people thought he would. But I mean, as of right now, he's good, not great. That's the best way I can say. He's good, not great. Oh. And we will keep that up. I'm not going to go too far into this one, but the shocker for me of the weekend was the Arizona Cardinals beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 24-10. Not only did they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, but Kenny Pickett got hurt. Which, if I'm gonna be honest, you see the jersey. This helps my Colts out. Because they better win this week. Because they catching an L when they come to Indy in 2 weeks. That's just between us. But they better win. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. But shout out to the Cardinals. Shout out to Kyler Murray. They shocked me. I mean, like I said, I wasn't going too far into that. So that's here nor there. Excuse me, y'all. As I told you, a little bit sleepy. Speaking of upsets, shocker of the week. Green Bay Packers beat the Kansas City Chiefs that doesn't even sound correct right now. They won 27-19. And we're gonna go into to the scores and stuff like that. Patrick Mahomes was like I'm like y'all know like my philosophy is always I read the losing team stats first. It it feels weird reading Patrick Mahomes stats, you know, before all of this. So it is what it is. So Patrick Mahomes was 21 to 33 for 210 yards, one touchdown, one pick. Isaiah Pacheco had 18 carries for 110 yards and a touchdown. Travis Kelce had 4 receptions for 84 yards. Noah Gray actually caught the touchdown. That was for 2 yards. And also Rasheed Rice had 8 receptions for 64 yards. My question is this: what does this mean for both of those teams now? Um, for the Packers, it means a serious playoff contender. And shout out to Jordan Love. And I also wanted to say shout out to Czar because he's the first person. That's one thing. Can I say this before I even say it? The one thing that I love about my co-host is they bring philosophies that are different than mine. That's how they got on the show. But they say things that sometimes I don't even think about first. And when they say it, I get to think about it and it goes through my mind and everything. And then when I get to watch it, in live action, some of the things they say is like, wow, it's remarkable. And all of my co-hosts put pressure on me in that way. So with that said, he's the one that talked about Jordan Love last week, saying he was the first person that I heard say I really like Jordan Love as a quarterback. Jordan Love went to work on. Did I even read their stats? Look, I think I got so excited. I don't think I read their stats. That's hilarious. Nope, I didn't. So Jordan Love we're talking about the Packers stats now. I didn't even go through it. I'm gonna go through it real quick. Jordan Love was 25 of 36 for 267 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. AJ Dillon had 18 carries for 73 yards. He led them, and Romeo Dobbs had led them with 4 receptions for 72 yards, and Christian Watson 7 receptions for 71 yards. When I watched them, one thing that usually happens with especially rookie quarterbacks, when you go against a juggernaut or a team that you perceive as a juggernaut, the Chiefs right now, the Patriots from before, you know what I mean? When you played the Colts with Peyton Manning, the Saints with Drew Brees, when you play these teams, you have a tendency to try to overcompensate or feel a pressure to put up a certain amount of points, and it usually play outside of what you play, and usually that's where mistakes come. Jordan Love came into this game and he played the game that he wanted to play. I never looked at this and said he's out of, he's uncomfortable or he feels like pressure to put up a certain amount of points. Or he played his game and it was a work of art. And this is the first time that I'm putting Jordan Love on notice in terms of being like a legitimate quarterback, but now I'm putting him on notice for being a legitimate quarterback. However, now that you're on notice for being a legitimate quarterback, you have to do it more consistently. This performance, this was a top 5 quarterback in NFL performance. How many times can you do it, Jordan Love? That's the question. How many times can you repeat this? How many times can you dominate like this and keep the game at your pace? So we'll see about that. Oh, excuse me, y'all. Yeah. So that's so for the Packers, they really become a legitimate playoff contender right now. If the playoffs started, they'd be in the playoffs. And for the Chiefs, there goes that that problem again. There goes that same thing that thorn in your side that they have. Those wide receivers need to figure it out. You're gonna have to figure it out. And now at this point, you got you. This might have cost you the number one seed in the AFC, and you got to figure it out. You got 2 weeks to figure it out. Now you will notice too. Okay, and keeping with upsets, the keeping up with upsets, the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in overtime, 34-31. Trevor Lawrence was 22 of 29 for 258 yards and 2 touchdowns, no picks. Not much rushing. Travis Etienne had 45 yards rushing and a touchdown, and Trevor Lawrence also had a rushing touchdown. Evan Ingram had 9 receptions for 82 yards and a touchdown. Zay Jones had 78 yards, and Washington, Parker Washington had 6 receptions for 61 yards and a touchdown. The thing about this game is Trevor Lawrence got injured during this game. I'm not sure the extent of the injury. He's like, when I looked at the injury report, he went down as questionable. And I don't know what that means in terms of that's what I'm looking for. I don't know what that means in terms of his status to play. I don't know if he's playing this week. I don't know if he's playing next week. Questionable usually means you're going to play, but we'll see. But this does put a hinder on them. He needs to play. Their next 2 games is against the Browns, who need a win, who lost this week and need a win to get into the playoffs. And then they got the Ravens. They better not lose both of these games. I'm telling you, it's going to be bad for them. If they lose both of these games, it's going to be bad for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I can tell you that right now. I really don't even have too much more to say about them with this game. Like I said, Cincinnati Bengals are not going to make the playoffs. But if Jacksonville loses 3 straight games, they're going to slide right into that 5 seed, and it's going to be bad. And we're going to talk more about it. All right. So that's a wrap. That basically wraps up what I wanted to talk about in terms of Week 13. Guys, I want to paint a picture for you guys now. Let's go right here. Okay. No, wait a minute. Give me a second. Don't rush me. Okay. So we're going to talk about my Colts real quick. So this week we got the Bengals. Next week we are home against the Steelers. Then we have the Falcons, Raiders, and Texans. Before we get to that Texans game, we might have one loss. We might, and that's if the Steelers figure it out. Which they're a team and a roster and an organization that seems to figure stuff like that out. But I'm gonna tell you guys right now, the Indianapolis Colts are going to the playoffs. And I know that sounds crazy now. Listen, I don't rock the jersey for nothing. The Indianapolis Colts are going to the playoffs. Y'all need to start getting used to it and get ready for it. I don't care how you feel about it. But your first round quarterback went down. AR-15, he went down and all this. Yeah, whatever. The Indianapolis Colts are going to the playoffs. Okay, just start wrapping your minds around it. And I'm gonna tell you just like this: if Jacksonville drop these next 2 games, we're going to win the division. And I don't care that they swept us. If the Jacksonville Jaguars lose these next 2 games, which is very possible, we're going to win the division. and that's gonna be crazy because then you're not gonna hear the end of my mouth with that. So so what I wanted to do was look at the updated playoff picture and just talk a little bit about that. So as of right now, the Miami Dolphins are the number one seed in the AFC with a 9-3 record. Excuse me. The Baltimore Ravens are in the second seed with a 9-3 record. The Chiefs dropped to the third seed with an 8-4 record. The Jaguars dropped to they dropped to the fourth seed with. Did they drop or were they already? I think they were already in the fourth seed. The fourth seed with an 8-4 record. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 7-5, and they'd be the fifth seed. The Colts are also 7-5, and we'd be the sixth seed. And then the Browns are 7-5, and they'd be the seventh seed right now. With the Texans at 7-5 being right outside of that picture on the bubble, and the Broncos, Bills. I'm taking the Bengals out. And the Broncos and Bills with a 6-6 record, holding on. This AFC playoff picture is shaping up to be real crazy, and I'm really excited to see how this unfolds. I'm really excited to see how this unfolds. Yeah, I'm not even going to say too much on that. So in the NFC, even though the Eagles got spanked, they're 10-2, and they'd be the number one seed right now if the playoffs started. The 49ers are 9-3, and they would be the second seed. The Lions are also 9-3, they'd be the third seed. The fourth seed being unfortunately one of those NFC South, or excuse me, NFC South teams. The Falcons are 6-6. Sounds terrible. Dallas being the fifth seed would be 9-3. The Vikings would be the sixth seed at 6-6, and the Packers would be the seventh seed at 6-6, and right on the bubble would be the Rams at 6-6, and the Seahawks at 6-6. Okay, there's more to unravel with the NFC than in the AFC. So a couple things. One, when you talk about the Eagles, they got smoked. We know. We heard it. We saw it. They got smoked by the San Francisco 49ers. Here's the thing. If they lose this week at Dallas, I'm pretty sure they drop to the 5 seed, which changes a lot of things. So I don't think they can drop 2 straight, which makes this game very interesting. And I'm very curious to see how that unravels. But in terms of seeding and stuff, you're going to have to stay tuned with that. And in terms of the bottom of the NFC, I kind of still see the Vikings coming out of the playoffs. I just think, I think the Rams are coming. I think the Seahawks are still right there. I just don't think that the Vikings are a team that can, hold on to this. I just want to look at their schedule for the rest of the year. Their schedule for the rest of the year, they have the Raiders, then they have the Bengals, which I think they lose one of those 2 games. Then they have the Vikings, and then they have the Packers, and then they have the Lions again. Excuse me, they have the Lions, Packers, and then Lions. Like I said, I kind of see them just falling off out of that real quick. So that's here nor there. I'd love to hear what everybody feels about the Vikings making the playoffs or the Packers making the playoffs or whatever you say. I'm actually very curious about it. Okay. So now we caught up. So now at this point we've caught up to week 13. We have an updated playoff picture. Let's finish up real quick with these week's games. Okay. So obviously let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we got 5 games. First game of that is Jacksonville at Cleveland. Now, I'm not saying this is a must-win game for Jacksonville, but what I am saying is sets up a really interesting situation if they don't win this game. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is playing, but I know if he's not playing, I firmly expect Cleveland to win this game. And until I get an answer that Trevor Lawrence is playing, my answer is the Cleveland Browns are going to win this game. That's my prediction. All right. Next up, we got the Seahawks at the 49ers. So the 49ers beat the Seahawks earlier when they played. Listen, for Seattle, we're getting to that point where you get like, I don't know if they could drop this game. So I'm very curious to see how they are, how they play. As a division opponent, it's not going to be a popular opinion, but I'm actually going to roll with Seattle to win this game. It's not that I feel as though they're better or anything. I just think it's always hard to sweep an opponent, and Seattle is the more desperate team, and that usually bodes well for a desperate team. It's the best way I can do it. I know that's very unpopular. So then we got the Bills at the Chiefs. So one of two things is going to happen. Either Buffalo gets their 7th loss of the year, or the Chiefs take a 2-game slide. I'm not going to lie to you. This is a real difficult game. My thought is, though, when a team has your number, they got your number. And for that, I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Buffalo Bills again. And we'll see when Buffalo gets their 7th loss, how I feel about their playoff chances after that. We'll figure that out. And finally, we're going to have Philadelphia Eagles, game of the week. Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. Honestly, I can see a lot of stuff happening in terms of this game. But what I really feel, I just don't see the Eagles losing 2 straight and putting them in the 5 seed. And I think their thought process is more built on something like that. Like Dallas really is never the team that smells blood and takes. You know what I mean? And it's like sharks in the water. That's not really what they've been. So I think in my head, I kind of feel like the Eagles feel a little bit more of the desperation after getting killed like they did in San Fran, but that's here nor there. We'll see how that goes. But my prediction is the Philadelphia Eagles sweep the Dallas Cowboys. So, ladies and gentlemen, we fought through this episode. We tired. You can hear the congestion and coming down with stuff. But for y'all, once again, I want to thank you guys for always motivating me and motivating us as a brand to bring you content week after week. We bring you your football food. That's what we should call it, the football food. We give you your football food week after week after week. And we do it because you motivate us, and we thank you for being a part of our journey. So, once again, you can check us on YouTube and Spotify for the full episodes. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We all over the place. Check our reel game. Our reels are blowing up. And once again, cuz you don't know football, I'm your boy Reek. And just like Martin said, I'm going to see you when I see you. Peace.